Hello, everybody. Welcome to the very last day of new learning. I'm not saying it's the last day of class because if you still owe me work, you need to get that in, and you still have a couple days to do that. But today's the last day of new material. Congratulations, you've made it. Oh my goodness, I can't believe the school year is over. So, last class we were talking about negative feedback loops. And remember, negative feedback is not necessarily a bad thing. It's just negative because it's negating whatever happened, the stimulus that happened to your body. So if you're getting hot, your body is going to negate getting hot by sweating and cool you off and bring you back down to your normal body temperature. So that's a negative feedback loop. It's a pretty short little cycle. Something happens, and then something else happens that'll bring you right back to normal. And I told you last week that if there is something called a negative feedback loop, then there is obviously going to be something called a positive feedback loop. And just like negative feedback loops are not always negative, positive feedback loops are not always positive things, but they can be. So today, for your last new information day, we're going to talk about what is a positive feedback loop. So my favorite way to talk about positive feedback loops and to kind of introduce them to you is by this book, If You Give a Moose a Muffin. And you guys are so lucky because I used to be a preschool teacher. This is my favorite book. And so you get a live, well, not live, but recorded version of the reading, If You Give a Moose a Muffin, which demonstrates a positive feedback loop. So I got to just figure out how to make it so you can see it. If you give a moose a muffin. Smells pretty good. If you give a moose a muffin, he'll probably want some jam to go with it. So you'll bring out some of your mother's homemade blackberry jam. When he's finished eating the muffin, he'll want another, and another, and another. And when they're all gone, he'll ask you to make some more. Tasty. You'll have to go to the store to get him some muffin mix. He'll want to go with you. When he opens the door and feels how chilly it is, he'll ask to borrow a sweater. When he puts the sweater on, he'll notice one of the buttons is loose. He'll ask for a needle and thread. He'll start sewing. The button will remind him of the puppets his grandmother used to make. So he'll ask for some old socks. He'll make sock puppets. When they're done, he'll want to put on a puppet show. He'll need some cardboard and paints. Then he'll ask you to help him make the scenery. When the scenery is finished, he'll get behind the couch, but his antlers will stick out. So he'll ask for something to cover him up. You'll bring him a sheet from your bed. When he sees the sheet, he'll remember he wants to be a ghost for Halloween. He'll try it on and shout, "Boo!" It'll scare him so much he'll knock over all the paints. Woo, getting a little wheelie with my book here. So, he'll use the sheet to clean up the mess. Then he'll ask for some soap to wash it out. He'll probably want to hang the sheet up to dry. Uh-oh, who's outside? He'll go outside to put it on the clothesline. When he's out in the yard, He'll see your mother's blackberry bushes. Seeing the blackberry bushes will remind him of her jam. He'll probably ask you for some. And chances are, if you give him the jam, he'll want a muffin to go with it. Well, there you go. On your last day of new learning in biology, you got story time. Okay, so that moose book is an example of a positive feedback loop. Like I said, we talked about negative feedback last week, and that's where if there's a stimulus, like you get hot or you get cold, your body's going to react, bring you back towards homeostasis, and negate the problem. So there's going to be a stimulus, there's going to be a reaction, you're going to negate the problem, and you're going to go back to normal. Okay, this is what we talked about last week. You get hot, you sweat, that's negating the problem of you being hot, and it brings you back to normal. A positive feedback loop, like we just saw in if you give a moose a muffin, is basically the opposite of this. So there's a stimulus. So in this example, the moose was given a muffin. So that was the stimulus. Then there's a reaction. And the reaction is that the moose asks for more and the boy gives it to him. And then the moose asks for something else and he gives it to him. And the moose asks for something else and he gives it to him. And instead of negating the problem, you're kind of adding on to it. Adding to problem. Adding positive. Negating negative. That's why they're not positive or negative things. It's just, are you negating it or are you adding to it? So the moose comes in. The reaction is that the moose keeps asking for things and the boy keeps giving it to them. This is adding to the problem. And then instead of bringing it back to normal, it's just going to keep adding to the problem. So it starts kind of rolling out of control and getting further away from homeostasis. So instead of bringing back to normal and back to homeostasis, you're getting further from normal. You're going away from homeostasis. So my favorite thing to say is, so how could you change the book if you give a moose a muffin from a positive feedback loop into a negative feedback loop? All right, so in my opinion, you still have to give the moose the muffin because the title of the book is If You Give a Moose a Muffin. So the moose is going to come into the house, the boy is going to give him the muffin, and then the stimulus is going to be the moose says, "Ooh, could I have some of that tasty blackberry jam with it?" And in the real book, it becomes a positive feedback loop where the reaction of the boy is to say, "Sure, here's some blackberry jam." And that reminds him of something else. And that reminds him of something else. And it keeps adding to the problem and brings us further away from normal because the moose shouldn't be in the house doing all of this stuff with the boy. And then eventually the moose asks for another muffin. So it just keeps on adding to the issue. If we were going to turn it into a negative feedback loop, the moose might come in, he'll ask for some delicious blackberry jam, and the reaction of the boy would be, "No, moose, go back outside." That would negate the problem and bring us back to normal, back to homeostasis, where the moose should be outside in the woods. So that's just kind of a fun way to look at positive and negative feedback loops in a fictional story. So last week was focused on negative feedback. Wow, negative feedbacks in the human body. So today is going to be focused on how positive feedbacks can be a part of the human body. Right, and you know it would not be the last day of biology without some amoeba sisters. I'm starting it halfway through because the first part talks about negative feedback and about maintaining body temperature, which we've kind of done ad nauseum. So we're going to start here with positive feedbacks.
Well, what about positive feedback? Positive feedback is when instead of getting a counteracting response to some variable, you instead intensify the variable. Positive feedback can be like more, more, more instead of let's counteract this. The example that always stuck with me when I was a student is the example about the human baby being born. In biology classrooms everywhere, it's a classic example. When a human baby is ready to be born, there is pressure on the cervix, and that pressure and the hormones involved cause contractions of the uterus, because that's a big part about how the baby is going to be born. More release of hormones will equal more contractions and pressure, which will cause more release of hormones. More release of hormones will mean more contractions and pressure. Contractions help get the baby out, but it's also a part of a beautiful illustration of what positive feedback can do. So, why do we care about feedback? Other than, the importance of negative feedback in maintaining homeostasis and the role of positive feedback in many body processes.
All right, and I think that we understand the importance of it. It's going to keep our bodies regulated, and it's going to help babies be born. So these are really important feedback systems that are going on in your own body. They also happen in other places too. Like in earth science, I talk a lot about positive and negative feedbacks. It's a word that will come up as you go on with your life. So it's important, and many adults get this wrong about positive feedback always being a good thing and negative feedback always being a bad thing. So now you know, so that you can understand that sometimes positive feedback might be a good thing, like a baby being born, but sometimes a positive feedback can be not so good, like a moose ending up needing 85 million things in your house and making a humongous mess. Another example of a positive feedback loop in humans, which also has to do with babies being born, is when nursing mothers produce more milk. So, what happens is that the baby drinks the milk, and then there's a hormone that the mother releases called prolactin, and that makes there be more milk produced. And then the baby drinks it, and then there's more created. So, you can see how this is adding on. If it was negative feedback, the baby would drink the milk, and then the hormone, instead of making more milk, would tell the mom to stop making any milk at all. So that would not end up being good for the baby or the mom. So that is an example, another example of a positive feedback loop in the body. All right, everyone. That is it. That is all of the new material for biology. If you have completed all of the assignments, gotten all your work in, everything's good on Power School, congratulations to you. You are done with biology. If you still have some assignments to do, you're really close. Just get those into me. Even Nala's back there giving you some encouragement. Nala, I'm over here. Give them encouragement, Nala. I hope that you all have a great summer. As you can see, I'm so ready. I'm going to miss you all. If you need anything, please email me. Let me know. You know my email if you need anything over the summer. And I will hope to see you guys next year in school. Come visit me during Flex so that I can give a proper, well, it wouldn't be a goodbye, but I can give you a proper hello. How about that? All right. So make sure you get anything in for me that you need. Get things in for your other classes. You guys rock. Distance learning is over or close to over. See you guys later. Bye.